you guys are in for a treat. If you watch the live show, guess what? You're getting 2 episodes for Friday night. The Friday nights that just won't stop, even though we were supposed to move to Tuesday earlier in the week. So here's what happened. If you watch the live show, episode 30, there were some audio issues on Josh's end. There were some people in the channel that were saying it was really low. During our conversation, as I was listening to it, it sounded fine. It was playing loud. It was normal. It sounded like everybody else that's been on the show. Didn't think anything of it. So Josh and I entered our chat. I went and pulled the video file from the recording, and the audio is, in fact, low. So I sent Josh a message, and I said, hey, listen, I tried to make some adjustments. It won't work. Let's schedule another talk. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to kind of redo our show. So episode 30, you're going to get, it's like 2 parts now. So episode 30, the original, was the live stream conversation with Josh Mills. But episode 30, the podcast that you're listening to, and the video that's being uploaded to YouTube is a different episode. So again, if you watch the live show, you get that one, and then you also get another one as well. Man, I am giving content away for free to everybody because it's Friday, and I'm almost back to health. If you weren't aware, last weekend, after the show on Friday last week, I got so sick. I mean, so sick. And it was a good 2.5 days where I was just down. And so this past Tuesday, we were supposed to start. I messaged Josh and I said, listen, man, I'm just not 100%. I was still coughing really bad. And I said, can we move the show to Friday? So he agreed. And so that's why we didn't meet on Tuesday. But starting next Tuesday, we are going to Tuesdays on Tuesday, next Tuesday, saying Tuesday a lot. 7:30 p.m., Tuesday the 15th, we have a very, very special guest. And so I have been so lucky to talk to so many great people, local pastors, guys that I've become friends with on the internet. I had the opportunity to talk with Dr. Beal. And on Tuesday, January 15th, I am getting the privilege of talking with Dr. Dustin Benge, who is from Southern Baptist Theological Seminary. He just completed his PhD program. And we have an amazing, amazing show lined up. I am so excited to talk to him. He is one of these up-and-coming guys in the theological world. And I asked him back in October, I think it was, if he would be on the show, and he agreed. And once we got through the holidays and stuff, we connected again. And so I am so excited. I'm so excited. For Tuesday night, make sure you join us. That'll be live on Facebook. It'll also be live on theologynights.com, and it'll also be the podcast afterwards as well. We'll get all the audio and the video issues ironed out over the weekend, and we will be good to roll on Tuesday. If you're listening to this just on the podcast, thank you. I appreciate those that listen and support us after the live show, because as many of you know, we are more than just the live show. Theology Nights sort of is branched out into 4 different ways. Number 1 is our podcast. We post audio from the show, and we also post other podcast episodes throughout the week. Number 2 is articles. I write articles very rarely, but I do write articles. More commonly, what I do is I post articles from people that are good at writing, so you don't have to suffer through reading my bad writing. You can actually read good content. So I link to a lot of other articles. There's so many people that I read, and I want to encourage you guys with good content. So I link to articles. We have video teaching as well. I post videos of the things that I teach. I also post some behind-the-scenes videos. Starting tomorrow, we're going to be doing a whole entire new series of Saturday videos that I look forward to. We were supposed to start last weekend. As I mentioned before, was sick, not able to do it. And then number 4 is the live show. So we have 4 big branches that really come out, and I really have enjoyed growing each one of these areas. If you remember way back in June, 7 months ago, we started with just the Friday night show, and that was it. There wasn't the website, there wasn't the channels, there wasn't the Facebook pages, and we had really just jumped into it with the live show. And since then, there has been this growth that has been amazing, not just from the live show, but all of the other content that I've been able to distribute to everybody. Because that's the goal. As I'm working through Theology Night stuff every single day, I want to provide content for you guys. I want it to just be like my life organically creates content. as astute as that might sound. But it's true, though. I want to be able to just say, like, well, I'm reading this stuff all the time, and I'm in school, and I'm having conversations like this. Like, why not just use that as content? Give it away. Like, I don't want to be a hoarder of the information that I receive. I want to distribute it and pass it out. So that's why I've tried to be intentional about daily social media posts. I'm doing different themes. Like this week, I'm doing book recommendations. The week before, I did podcast and blog recommendations. So every week, the daily social media posts are going to have a theme. We're going to link to articles more often. We're going to bring other people in to kind of give you guys exposure to what else is out there on the internet. But I just want to create places that you can rely on daily. You know, that's my big thing, and the goal is consistency. We were talking about it the other night, but my thing for this year coming up and moving forward is I want to be consistent with content. I want to produce more often, and I want to give good content. I certainly don't want to just create for the sake of creating. I want to create solid content that you guys can rely on and use to grow with. And so I look forward to doing those new things. The Saturday new avenue of content. Sunday nights we're going to have some new content. During the week we'll have new content. We just have new content. You just got to stay tuned. And so in order to do that, make sure you're subscribed to all of our channels. YouTube.com/Theology Nights, Facebook.com/Theology Nights. You can subscribe to the podcast on all of your favorite apps through the iTunes Store or through Google Play. Through Google Podcasts, through Spotify, Stitcher, all those other things. There are so many podcast apps. There are no shortage of podcast apps. So, as I said, let me kind of rehash what the big thing that Josh and I talked about, because this really stuck out to me. We were talking about the need for growth in your knowledge. And I know that is something that we talk about all the time on the show. But from that statement, we moved into another discussion that was really important. And it's this idea of having specific time to study Scripture and having specific time to have devotional time in Scripture. And let me explain what I mean by that. So if you are someone who has become aware of your need to be a student of the Word, and what I mean by that is, like, if you have begun the journey, is kind of the way of describing it. And we're going to talk about this in a moment too, but because it's a lifelong journey, like it's not just something you're going to do overnight. You're not going to pick one of these books and read it and you're going to be like, okay, I'm done. That's all the theology that I need. You're giving yourself over to the lifelong pursuit of knowledge. But what we were talking about is the need to allow academic study to be devotional. I asked Josh the question, how do you guard yourself from becoming purely academic? And I think that's a tough question to answer, because here's the way that I described it. So with my average day, let me just kind of run through an average day of mine, because that'll be a little bit easier, and I can kind of explain it this way. So I start my day early, and my goal is, before I do anything, is to be in Scripture and spend time in prayer. And I succeed 0 out of 5 days a week, just being honest. Maybe like one day every 3 weeks. Really bad at it. I struggle with sleep, and it's a constant battle, and so I'm not good at it. Thankfully, though, I work for an organization where we start our day in devotions. Every single day, Monday through Friday at 8:10, I'm in Scripture. And so just even if I wake up late, it's like within an hour of me being awake, my nose is in the Bible. And so that sets the tone for the day. We're going through Revelation, we're going through Matthew, I'm teaching through Ephesians. So there's a lot of Scripture that is being taught, and I'm always in Scripture. So that's part one of my day. And then after that, if I'm teaching a class, I'm going to have conversations one-on-one with a guy about doctrine, and so we're going to discuss that. There might be something that I need to spend some time researching, so I'll look at articles, and I'll spending time in books, and I'll do a lot of that. That runs throughout my normal work day. That's just that's just what I do during the day. And then I leave work and I come home, and depending on what day it is or what season of life it is, I'm in some sort of book. I'm reading personally. I'm spending time in Scripture. I'm doing schoolwork. I might have a show or a topic that I'm trying to research for Theology Nights. So that also is something that I do as well. So it's pretty much, it's like sun up to sundown almost. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say that I'm like some, like astute theologian, because I spend a lot of time on social media, and I'll show you some of my disciplines that I'm trying to work on that I've been writing out in my bullet journal. And I just am not good at a lot of things. I'm really not. And there's so many different areas that I'm trying to work on getting better at. So I don't say like, oh yeah, my whole day is just flooded with Christ to make it sound like, I'm that's not at all what I'm doing. But what I am trying to say is, like, I have to guard myself to make sure that stuff just doesn't come routine. It doesn't become like I'm on autopilot. And that's kind of what we were talking about, is this idea of not separating academic study from devotional time, because you can't really do intentional study unless you are devoting yourself and you are receiving it as devotional. Does that make sense? Like in order for it to really be studying, you have to do it unto the Lord. You know what I mean? Like, it has to be something like that. The reason why, though, I think we discuss it is that there are oftentimes people say, well, you need to separate your study time from your devotional time. And I get what they mean. However, the problem when you do that, I think you actually eliminate the Lord from one of those. Like, if you say that you're going to be, you're going to use just like, So like one of my disciplines, okay, is I always try to I spend time just reading, for my daily reading, I'm reading through, I have 4 chapters a day that I read. And so I use that more as reading, more so than what I might read at night. So like, say, for example, like the other day, we went through Revelation 12. And that was something that I was just like really intrigued by. So that night I did like a very intentional study about Revelation 12. I grabbed some commentaries and I just spent some time reading about that chapter. It was more academic study than I would say devotional study. Does that make sense? Like I classify devotional study as the 4 chapters a day that I try to read in Scripture. But that's also not to say that like during those times of reading 4 chapters, I mean, I'm taking notes and I'm putting things in my notebook to research later. I might even have a commentary with me while I'm reading that stuff. But my approach to it should be the exact same. Like, I'll admit it. Like when we were going through Revelation 12 the other day, I got so excited because I wanted to go home and study. Like I knew that that's what I was going to do that night. Was there was some stuff in there that I wanted to learn more about, and I wanted to come home and I wanted to just open my books up and study and just really soak in with what was being said on those pages. And so it's a situation like that where I think we have to guard separating academic study from devotional study, because doing something like that, it's really simple to say, I just want to learn about the text. You know what I mean? Like you can, or learning about the trees and missing the forest is what I've heard before. Becoming so focused on figuring out what this one verse means and missing the quality time that you can spend with the Lord through that study. So I think an approach, and I've circled around to like 9 different things right now. I'm just sort of realizing it, but either way, who cares? What we need to do, and I'm saying all of this because the last thing we talk about is always like, what's practical advice for somebody who's becoming a student of the Word, who has said, I really want to grow in my theology. How do I do it? What's the practical advice? And so that's why I'm like, taking 19 turns to get there, but I'm leading to that point. We give ourselves to the lifelong pursuit of knowledge, right? It's not an overnight thing. I think that's where the problem comes in, because we separate academic and devotional, because we think devotional is something that I can do every single day, whereas academic is something that I'm just going to learn over the weekend. It's something that is not going to be a lifelong journey, and that's where I think the problem comes in, because we think with theology we're going to get it in a weekend. We think like that it's going to be 2 books and you're going to have it all figured out, and so when the reality sets in that that's not what it is, that's why we're not giving ourselves over to academic pursuit of knowledge. That's why there's not more people growing in their knowledge of Scripture, because they're seeing it as something that it's like, that's too hard. That's a lifelong pursuit. I can't even imagine doing that. That's where the foundation needs to be changed. Realizing that it's not going to be something that's going to happen overnight. You shouldn't want it to either. I mean, we're guilty of the culture that we live in, and I've got Amazon Prime. I don't like waiting more than 2 days for a package. Come on. I get it. You know, the reality is, like, we want stuff now, and we don't want to wait. And so, like, when you look at books like this on the shelf and you think, I got to read all of those books to, like, even have, like, this much of a hint, it's the wrong view of what we're trying to do. Like, when you give your life over to Christ, you really give your life over to Christ. You know what I mean? When you have surrendered being Lord of your life and being the captain of your own ship, and you finally submit to Christ, you have submitted your entire life to him. So why not give the rest of your life over to growing in knowledge and learning more about him? You know what I mean? Like, you're going to be a follower of Christ forever. You're not going to reach 6 weeks into being a Christian and, like, your knowledge is going to be full and you're going to be cut off. You know what I mean? That's the issue, I think, that happens a lot. We would rather just get devotionals and read 2 or 3 sentences to kind of get a bit of a kick, you know, like a here's what I need. Here's my word for the day. This is what I need. And now hear me with what I'm saying. I'm not saying devotionals are bad. I really am not. They are great assets, and if you use a devotional, continue to use a devotional. I struggle with devotionals. Maybe I just haven't found the right one yet. I don't know, but they're just not my thing. But the reason why I say, like, devotionals are so common, you know, like they're just like, that's what people think academic studying of the word is, and it's not that. And so we want our lifelong pursuit of Christ to look like a daily devotional. Like, we want to have an outline, like, okay, here's my paragraph for the day. Here's my one verse for the day. We're great. Let's move on. It's not like that. It's not like that. And I think we're seeing results of that. How many topics are we on now? Like 14? This is record-setting episode tonight. If you are listening to the podcast, you're in for a treat. Believe me. If you've made it this far, thank you. First off, podcast listeners, don't think I forget about you guys. I see the analytics. I see the stats of where they're coming from. I see all the downloads. You guys are consistent. Believe me. Topic 15. Because now I just forgot the last topic that I was talking about. Oh, what I wanted to close with. Practical advice for growing in the Lord. This is something that I try to do all the time, okay? Because I think this is something that we need to remember all the time. Practical advice for growing in the Lord. Number one, I think, is realizing this lifelong pursuit. That is a great way to start. Because I have a lot of people that ask me, like, how do you do it? Like how have you given yourself? Well, and the reality is, I haven't done anything. Like Christ, like, redeemed me, and, like, I don't have a choice. like he caused my heart to be changed, and I don't have a choice. Like, this is life now. Like, this is like, there's nothing else I could do with my life that would bring me joy right now. Nothing at all. And I'm talking about from an eternal perspective of what I do with my life. You know, I always get people to ask me, like, what do you do for fun? And it's such a tough question for me to answer, because, like, I life is just fun. You know what I mean? Like, studying is fun. Theology is fun to me. School is fun to me. Having conversations about election and predestination with people is fun to me. Like, but it's also my life. It's what I've given myself over to. So I don't want to, like, say it's fun in the way that, like, you know, playing golf is fun. It's not like that. You know what I mean? Like it's different. My life just like this stuff just organically flows through my life because I have set things up in my life to do that. I have conversations about Christ all the time, which helps me. It encourages me. I have brothers in my life that challenge me to grow in my theology. I have people in my life that call me out on my theology when I'm off, which challenges me to grow, and it keeps me in the book. I have people call me out when I'm spending too much time in books and not enough time in Scripture. I have guys like that. I have guys that send me articles, and I have podcasts that I listen to and guys that I interact with in that community. And so I'm always listening to podcasts. I'm always listening to Scripture. But I say that because I recognize that it is a lifelong pursuit. I struggle, believe me, because I became a Christian later than a lot of people that I know. And a lot of the guys that I know that became Christians, they've got many, many years on me. And so I think, and I don't do this as often now, but when I first became a Christian, I thought, man, I got to catch up. I'm way behind these guys. They've got 10, 15 years on me already. I got to try to catch up. I quickly realized how bad and dangerous that is, because that's when you're missing what it really means to be a follower of Christ. And I'm not trying to just accumulate knowledge for the sake of knowledge. I've just decided that I've given my life over to Christ, and I'll pursue Him for the rest of my life. Because I don't. There's nothing else I could do. This is life. This is the reality of what it means to be a follower of Christ. Is I have given my life to Him, and I honor Him by producing content through the internet, through having conversations with people in my community, with hosting public forums and all these things that we have coming up. That's how I honor Christ. I make much of Christ in all that I do. That's my goal. It's not to make much of myself. It's to make much of Christ. Like recognizing how wretched and sinful we are, and yet He shows kindness and grace and mercy to us. He reached down and he plucked me out of darkness, and He regenerated my heart. He caused me to believe. He changed my wants. He changed my desires. Recognizing the reality of how much of an impact that has on your life really starts to change things. It really does. And so if you're a Christian, I think evaluating the reality of that, evaluating the reality that the God of creation loves you so much that He caused your heart to be changed, that he has given you enlightenment into the revelation of the mystery. The Jews and Gentiles are co-heirs. The Gentiles are fellow heirs, that we as sinners have been grafted in. I mean, the reality of what it really means to be a follower of Christ is far beyond what I think we have put out there. Why not give yourself over to that knowledge? Let's stop there. We're 23 minutes in. So again, thank you for listening. I appreciate you guys so much. Look for the conversation with Josh Mills coming up soon. theologynights.com for more information. Make sure you subscribe to all of our channels on YouTube and all of our social media accounts, facebook.com/theologynights as well. And if you have questions or comments, make sure you send me an email, shoot me a question on the website. Hey, let's talk. Let's talk theology. Let's make much of Christ. Talk to you guys soon. Have a wonderful weekend. Thanks, guys.